listening to the Rainmaking Podcast, hosted by high-stakes headhunter, author, and professional speaker, Scott Love.
Well, hello, everyone. This is Scott Love, and thanks for joining me on the first episode of the new Rainmaking Podcast. Now, I'll tell you, I didn't plan on doing this until recently. If you'd been listening to this podcast, some of you know I started this way back in 2009. It's been through various iterations. It's been dormant for about 4 years because I really got out of recruiter training and coaching and consulting to focus solely on my search practice. But over the crisis, I knew that people needed some help. And some things bothered me. I would see a lot of other groups send out emails to the industry, to various industries, saying, we've got solutions to the crisis and we want you to pay dearly for it. And I thought, that's not what people need in a time of a crisis. They need some help. So I wanted to put some content out that was no strings attached. Here it is on how to build resilience muscles. And you can listen to the past episode if you missed that one. But I'd done a lot of training and speaking on that topic of resilience and wanted to just push it out. Several other groups, I donated presentations. American Staffing Association, they said, well, pay. I said, take the fee, donate it to your foundation. Let's just help some people. And I'm really glad to do that. And as I was doing that podcast, I was thinking maybe I should get back into this. And I have another podcast just for legal. It's called the Partner Podcast, and it's on various issues and topics just for legal, which is my niche. But I decided that I want to do another podcast, and it's going to be focused on rainmaking, and it's going to be to all industries, primarily those in professional services. I consult to big law firms, so it targets that, but there's a lot of other people that sell business to business and do professional services, client development. And so I'm going to be interviewing experts on that topic of sales, high-level selling, rainmaking, negotiation, client development, moving relationships forward, looking at strategy as it relates to getting more business from clients, client service, things like that. So a couple of suggestions for you. If you've got, or really a couple of requests, if you've got suggestions, if there are experts in a certain topic that fit with this, please let me know. And I'll interview them and put their content on this program. And then secondly, if there are topic ideas that you have, please send me an email. My email is scott@scottlove.com. Make it short, one line. If it's more than a few lines, I might not get to it real soon. But let me know of any ideas, and specifically any people that you think would be good for this type of topic. But let me share with you a few ideas. And then in the next few weeks, you're going to see me release some shows. I've got people like Pat Gillette, one of the top experts on rainmaking, Cole Silver, who works for Blank Rome. He's got some good ideas on making it rain during the pandemic. Some other people, Ivan Meisner, who's the founder of BNI, Mike Regina, who's a very successful business person and motivational speaker. Be listening for some of those. We've got a lot of shows in the queue. So just where you subscribe to this, pay attention to that when you see a new update. If you have time to share some of these with your colleagues, I'd appreciate that also. And if you get value from these shows as you start listening to them, go ahead and give it a review. If you feel like giving it a 5-star review, even better. I appreciate that. Let me give you 3 action steps today that you can take that can help you grow your practice, whatever that is, in the crisis. Number 1, I'd recommend that you get a journal. If you haven't done this before, I'd recommend that you order one. Get a nice leather-bound journal. It's the kind that costs $30. You want it to be fancy. You want it to be rich. You want to have that white, creamy leather, or the white, creamy pages and that leather that smells like a steak, okay? You want something that you're going to look forward to writing in. And this is where you write down all of your goals. Write down your monthly goals, your weekly goals. You get real clear on what it is that you want. Are there any challenges that you're going through? You want to write that down. Are there any victories that you have? Process those, learn from those, even your defeats. My goodness, whenever you have a sale that falls apart and it was a complex sale and it didn't close, there's data you can harvest from that. So all is not lost as long as you learn something from that. So that's step number 1, action step number 1, get a journal. Number 2, get real clear on what your goals are each month. I'd recommend writing down the answer to this question. What are the 2 or 3 things I need to accomplish this month? And if I don't accomplish anything else, I would still call it a good month. In fact, you might say, what's the one thing I need to accomplish this month? In fact, there's a book called The One Thing. I'd recommend that you read it. They even have a podcast. I was on that podcast several years ago as a guest, but they talk about how really you can only accomplish just a few important tasks. What's the one thing you need to accomplish? It's basically the 80-20 rule, but put into a business concept. So I'd recommend that you write down your monthly goals. Number 3, I'd recommend that you start doing this. This is something I've done for about 3.5, maybe 4 years. I keep an Excel spreadsheet, and it's the exact same Excel spreadsheet. And each month I give it a new tab, June 2020, whatever the month is. And I keep track of several things. On this Excel spreadsheet, I keep track of these 2 things. Number 1, at the end of each day, I write down what was my greatest achievement for the day. What was the one thing I accomplished for which I'm most proud? What was that one super hot moment in my day? Was it moving a client relationship forward? Was it making a placement? What was it? Was it getting quoted in a major publication? What was it? What was the greatest achievement? And write that down. The next column is going to be, what is your lesson learned? What was something that didn't work for you? What was a disappointment? What was something that you learned that day? What was a failure that you had where if you could go back in time and do something different, it wouldn't have occurred? Well, let's learn from this moment. Document that. So I've been doing this for about 3.5 years. And what I do every month or 2, I go through previous months, and what I look at those lessons learned over the past months, and I look for patterns. I look for lessons mistakes that I'm making over and over again. And when I see that I'm making the same mistake over and over again, now I have data. I'm paying attention to this. I can focus on not doing that. Sometimes if it's a character issue, such as I'm afraid. I remember years ago, I was afraid to get back to people quickly. I was afraid of hearing no. I was afraid of rejection. Well, it's a character issue. I would develop some sort of a virtue or a principle or concept, and I'd focus on it the next month that would ameliorate that challenge. It would fix it. So I'd recommend keeping an Excel spreadsheet and make it a daily habit. What was your greatest achievement for the day? What was the biggest lesson learned? But then I also keep track of my other metrics. Within my own business of recruiting, I keep track of submissions, how many resumes did I send to clients, and first face-to-face interviews or Zoom interviews or phone calls, whatever that first connection is between one of my candidates and one of my clients. And I keep track of all that so I can keep track of what my metrics are. So I'd recommend taking those actions. Do it today. Don't wait. Take action. You don't want to be a thought leader. You want to be an action leader, okay? You want to be a thought leader, but you want to take action. Action is where it's at. Action is what's going to get you what you want. Anyways, thanks for listening to this short podcast. You're going to start hearing some other podcasts shortly. I've already got them lined up in the queue. And like I said, a few months ago, I wasn't even thinking about doing this. And I thought, well, I'll take my old podcast. It'll pivot to rainmaking. It'll be a good way to keep my name in front of my law firm clients and candidates and help some other people out at the same time. So I got the domain name, rainmakingpodcast.com. If you can believe it, it was available. So you can check that out as well. And like I said, you can message me through the site if you have any suggestions, topic ideas, or people you think would be good guests. Please let me know. That's it. Take care. We'll talk with you during our next show. Thanks for listening.
Thank you for listening to the Rainmaking Podcast. For more information about our recruiting services for international law firms, visit our website at attorneysearchgroup.com. To inquire about having Scott speak at your next convention, conference, sales meeting, or executive retreat, visit therainmakingpodcast.com.